Meet Lewis. He's a part-time indie developer working on side projects in the evenings, one of which started as an experiment with APIs and has ended up as an almost accidental six-figure business.
AudioPen is a very simple tool that lets you speak into it and then converts what you said into text that's easier to read and ready to share. I monetized, on day one. That was the plan. Then I started the lifetime deal and I got my first buyer before I launched, actually.
Did you imagine this would turn into something as successful as it has?
It was quite accidental. I just built AudioPen while playing around with the APIs that had come out. Being a part-time sort of guy that was playing on the internet with technology, I was like, let me try and figure out how to use these APIs.
So how did he do this? I had the opportunity to hear the story, ask him about his learnings and advice, and best of all, hear the steps he took to make AudioPen as successful as it is. And it all started playing around with new tech.
I actually don't want to take credit for this idea because it was quite accidental for me. I was never a voice notes person. I never really recorded voice notes until after I built AudioPen. I just built AudioPen while playing around with the APIs that had come out in about March of 2023. I had seen all the AI hype online and I had no idea what to do with it. I was like, let me try and figure out how to use these APIs. And as a process, while doing all of that, I built a bunch of small tools on my website, built about 5 tools using the OpenAI APIs and shared them on Twitter. And AudioPen was one of those 5 tools, or not AudioPen, but like a very, very basic version of AudioPen. That got by far and away the most positive feedback from people. So I was like, okay, there's something here. Following weekend, I was organizing a hackathon for people to build stuff online in 12 hours and try and get it to revenue. It just so happened that hackathon was about 5 or 6 days away. And I decided to build a full-fledged version 1 of AudioPen that weekend, that Sunday.
A really interesting part of this was how quickly Lewis built this. It wasn't a long, drawn-out process. He went from idea to a product in front of users within 12 hours.
The time constraint was very self-imposed. It was a 12-hour hackathon. It's something that I used to run myself called Half Day Build. And the goal was within 12 hours on Sunday, from 12 noon to 12 midnight, you had to take an idea and try and generate revenue from it. The constraint was very fixed, and I found that useful because that helped me narrow the scope of what I wanted to build.
A time constraint like this means really narrowing in on what people like about what you're building, which made me want to know how Lewis was talking to people using AudioPen and getting this info.
I made it very easy for people to leave feedback for the product on the site itself. So I found that feedback box extremely helpful. Even in the demo video that I had on the site, I would speak about the feedback box and tell people if you have anything that you like, you don't like, anything that's working or not working for you. It's one click away. You just type what you want to type and let me know. More people than I thought would do that did that, which was great. And that's one of the ways I learned mostly. Also on Twitter, I got a lot of feedback from folks because this was one of the earlier, if not the earliest, tools of its kind. So folks were in general very excited about it when it was released. For the first few months, it was just fix bugs and build what people want.
With such close collaboration with his customers, Lewis' first monetization strategy focused on being a really great deal, a throwaway price.
For the first day, and then for a few months later, I sold something called, I sold a lifetime deal for people, which is sort of gray area in the SaaS world because of recurring costs and stuff. But I figured it would be a good way to get early proof that people were willing to pay something for the product, as well as create this army of people that were rooting for the product because they were invested in it as lifetime users. So that's what I did, and I started the lifetime deal at like a throwaway price at that point. And I got my first buyer before I launched, actually. Like while I was tweeting out the thread saying that I'm building this thing, one of my tweets was, hey, I've built like an early version and I need to find bugs before I launch this publicly. If anyone's interested, get in touch and I will add you to the beta. This was probably like 10 hours in to the build. So I added a bunch of people at that point itself. I think at least 30, 40 people, I think. And of those, a bunch of them just bought the product straight away. Like I hadn't told them to buy it. I had probably just put out the buy link on the product because it had to be there before launch. But yeah, people found bugs, but they still paid for it and they were willing to sort of bear with those bugs before launch.
You've talked a lot about bugs and feedback. What were some of the changes you made to the product in the early days based on these customer requests?
One of the biggest ones was just you can customize AudioPen to make it write the way you want it to. Earlier, there was just one version that you could write in. Now you can make it write like your favorite author. You can make it write like yourself if you give it a sample of your writing. You can basically make it do whatever you want.
Lewis is a one-man show. He doesn't have a team, and he builds entirely using no-code tools. So I asked him about his costs and overheads, and hearing how he approaches this is really interesting.
Yeah, I think the margins are good cost-wise. Also because my overheads are very, very low. I'm just one person working part-time on this. I have no permanent hires or anything. I live in a fairly low-cost country, which is India. Might not have started completely profitable, so I probably lost money on a bunch of early customers and maybe still losing money on them because I sold lifetime deals. I was totally fine with that because they were and they still are my marketing channel, and they're my core sort of users. So I'm very, very happy with bearing that cost when I have to. Having said that, AI, as time goes by, just gets better, and it also happens to get cheaper. So as new models come out, typically what we've seen right now is every new model is cheaper than the last one. So if a model that's better and cheaper comes along, I use it for certain tasks that it's better at. I use more expensive models for other tasks that these models aren't as good at. By and large, I think the costs, operating costs per user, have gone down quite significantly. I've also increased prices for users as time has gone by, not just for margins, but also because I want to be able to handle a particular volume of users at the moment. For instance, I don't even sell monthly plans because I know that if I did, I'd probably 5x the number of paid users that I had or that I get every day. But that would also probably 5x the amount of support I need to provide to those users, which I can't do. So I very intentionally provide a free plan that's fairly easy to use, and then provide only annual or 2-year plans. And of course, like as time has gone by, I've removed the lifetime deal after 6 months or so, exactly 6 months actually, of the product's launch. Removed that and moved purely to annual and 2-year deals. And also I've increased the price of the annual and 2-year deals as time has gone by, just because I want a particular number of paying users at any point of time. So until, as and when that stabilizes, I sort of stabilize the price as well.
What are some tips or strategies that you've learned through building an app like this, especially as you're doing all of this part-time?
A good accidental decision actually was not having a live chat on the site. That was massive because that can be something that keeps you occupied throughout, whether you're supposed to be working on the product or whether you're supposed to be working on your other job. Like that can just keep you engrossed. So having an email instead of a live chat helps. Besides that, I just enjoy this work. Like it doesn't feel like work, it feels like play. So when I'm building stuff, 90% of the time, it's just something I'm genuinely enjoying. Like I could do it with my free time and not feel bad about it at all. Of course, there are 10% of times where you want to tear your head out because you can't figure out why something's going wrong. But 90% of the time, it's great fun. I think I treat it as a series of sprints rather than a slow jog. That's the analogy I use sometimes, which is I go through a phase where I'm just building. So it'll be 3 to 4 weeks of just hardcore. I'd give up on sleep if I have to, stay up at night, build stuff that I want to build. And then it'll be 3 or 4 weeks of, fixing small bugs or building minor features or, just doing customer support, whatever. And then again, it'll be another sprint of building something. And that helps keeps things fresh, I guess, in some form. I'm not always sprinting. I'm not always just jogging along. It's interspersed.
Lewis has also decided very intentionally against growing to the point where he'd need to start to hire a team. And his reasoning behind this makes perfect sense.
I've thought about that, but at the moment decided against it, purely because for me, this is a side hustle. It's a hobby. It happens to, manifest itself in a product that's a SaaS product that people pay for, but it still is something that I enjoy doing. And I think hiring a team would make it like a job for me, which I don't want. I already have one of those. So I'm very intentionally staying away from having to hire a team for as long as I can. I don't know if that's the right decision, but I think of it like, playing football with your friends for fun versus playing football for a professional team to make a living. The latter might not be as fun. You're under some pressure, you have responsibilities with your teammates, with your fans, etc., etc. Whereas if you're playing with people for fun, it's just enjoyable. And I think that in the long run, that's more aligned with my life and the responsibilities that I have in other areas of my life that just ends up being the path that I think I could follow for the longest time and hopefully reap the most benefits from.
What would you say your ultimate goal is for AudioPen?
I think my North Star, at least at the moment, is to build products that I'm proud to share with the world. And there are two aspects to that. One is it has to be a product that works well, looks nice, people enjoy, etc., etc. But it also has to be a product that aligns with my worldview and what I see, what I think, in my opinion, is going to make the world a better place. So both those things have to happen. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life, whether it's digital products like AudioPen or physical products in the real world. I want to be building things that make the world better while also making me feel happy in the process of building those things. Yeah, and I don't know what the goal with the product is, but I'm just going to take it one day at a time, build it out for as long as I enjoy building it out, and then let it either run when it's completely fully built out, or when I'm completely burnt out from building it, or maybe hire someone to continue building it if I get bored, or maybe sell it. I mean, I don't know, but at the moment I'm very, very happy building the product out and maintaining it for users as well. I can't promise that it'll be the same for the next 5 years, but for as long as it is, I'm going to continue doing it.
Well, I found this whole story very inspiring. And I think one of the main takeaways for me is how intentional Lewis is with his business. From making sure he maintains a level of paying customers that he can personally support, to structuring the product in a way that doesn't ever really require him to hire a team and be able to keep working on it part-time. As well as how impactful sharing your progress as you go can be, rather than building in secret and then doing a big launch. Lewis brought his customers along for the journey, and they helped shape AudioPen. If you'd like to hear lots more, head over to milestones.so. I'm James. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
The main thing I try to do is not think of AudioPen as an AI product. It's much easier to build a feature than it is to take it away. For instance, right now itself, AudioPen can run by itself. So I want to launch a native app. I know it's been long overdue.